Welcome to the Jeremiah Show.
Hello. How are you?
Hello. That
Hello.
is that beautiful voice you hear is Jessica Sula. She's my special guest today.
Wow.
And Jessica stars in Wayward
hmm
as Orbison.
hmm
So I watched Wayward for the third time this weekend.
The
Uh,
third time?
the third time
Oh,
in
wow.
as many weeks. Okay. I've talked to Jess Wexler. I've talked to
hmm
Chloe. I
hmm
talked to Will. I've talked to Jacqueline. And now
Now
I
you
get to
get to
talk
talk
to
to
you,
me,
Jessica. Uh,
Orby.
but I kind of feel like maybe I'm going to get blocked by the team at Wayward because I feel a little bit like maybe I've gone overboard. I have
No,
said that this is
no.
my favorite film of 2025, and I mean that scripted.
You
I,
really?
yes, I've said that over and over. And again,
So that's really kind.
well, it's true. And
Wow.
there aren't that many movies the way I like movies. I mean, everybody's
hmm
taste is different, but there aren't that many movies, in my opinion, that really have a great storyline and just fantastic acting. Like every one of you delivers
Yeah.
and creates this world that I just got sucked into. And I couldn't predict it. It was like a thriller. It
hmm
was drama. It was fun and there's just all these different elements, and I don't think there are a lot of films that are made so well. And Jacqueline's first
I
directorial
know.
debut, that's just
I know.
amazing.
You know what's so interesting about Wayward is it made sense to me that I went to Deauville Film Festival because I felt when I was doing it, it had a very European quality about it,
Mm. Hmm.
or like just foreign. And I mean, I suppose Jacqueline is foreign, so it's her. When you are in America and you're a person not from here and you're auditioning, you have to get yourself in a tone of the way that things are, the way that I'm auditioning for television, and it's just different tones of things. And
Hmm.
so when I got Wayward, it did feel very different, and it was just a different tone of voice. And I think when I watched it, it does play out like as a thriller. And at the same time, there's like something kind of like funny about it too. It's just has a
Yeah.
Coen Brothers type thing where it's like twisted and a little like everything is going so wrong at times.
Yeah.
And and then you have Chloe who just gives it so much. She's very grounded and it gives it a lot of heart. So
Well, the two of you are just mesmerizing to watch on screen because the two of you just really, you can tell, feel each other, and
yeah,
you're working together, and you're telling this story, and it's so believable. You forget you're watching a film, and you're right. It's thriller. It's a mystery. It's very sweet at times,
very.
and then it doesn't follow. You think you've seen this movie before,
hmm
right? You think, okay, I know what's going to happen, or there's something
hmm
bad's going to happen at the end, and I can predict. But and I'm not going to give away the end at all here for the listeners, but it takes you up and down and twist you around, and you can't predict what's going to happen.
Yes.
It's a surprise. So, I mean, bravo, and it just keep striking, hitting the check marks in the
Oh, I'm
boxes. It's
really that
just,
actually it makes me really happy because with Wayward, I we made that movie in I guess 2021, and I was as well for me personally. COVID was a very hard time, and I was very depressed. And I came out here and stayed with some family friends, and we were doing the whole thing and filming in the struggle type of, the mask, the testing, and it's an indie budget,
mhm.
so nothing can go wrong. You can't even spare a day, and we're all just like scrounging to make it, and it was challenging. Me and Jacqueline had moments where, yeah, we just it was just hard. It was just hard,
Mm.
and Jacqueline could attest to this. And I think I could maybe be a little hard to work with at times, but that also when we came out the other side of it after some years went by, and I thought, I hope that movie goes somewhere because I still put a lot into it. it made, when I
Yeah.
talked to Jacqueline, she told me it was going to Deauville. I was just so happy it was going somewhere. And that festival is great. So I was really, and I was pleased it was going somewhere not in the States. I was like, let it get love elsewhere and then come back. And when I was talking to her about the experience of working on it, and she knew that it was hard for me because at times I was like, what am I doing? Am I doing this right? Needing a lot of validation. And she was like, you're doing it fine. And she's swamped because it's her first movie she's making. And she's trying to figure out, all these other pieces to a puzzle whilst telling a story, whilst being a woman on set, which is a hard place to be. We were sort of like reminiscing, and I was like, I'm sorry that it was hard. And she said, well, that's Orbison. And it really made me laugh. I was like, you're so right. This fully felt like a movie where I can watch it. I don't mind watching it now, but at a certain point it was hard because it's a piece of myself where she's just really scrounging in the mud trying to figure out what the hell her life is, you know.
And you related to that because that was what you were going through at that time as well,
Yeah,
in
and
a way.
I very much so. I kind of started young in the UK on a show, and then I, left home and just decided to try and go to drama school, but then couldn't afford the drama school. I moved to New York by myself, couldn't afford the drama school, and then I tried to go to Stella Adler, but it was too much. I could only do one semester. Then I got signed with my American agent um, in New York, and I was like working so many jobs and like just bouncing around. And I felt very wayward. I did not have a foundation, or I was super up in the air. I had nothing under my feet. I had no
Hmm.
backing plan. I had no my parents were both like living, divorced, one in Trinidad, one in Britain. They're like, my dad's a substitute teacher, my mother was trying to start her life again, so they were like, you're fully on your own.
Hmm.
And I just felt like I was rolling downhill, and I would get jobs when I can and it would change me financially, but then I wouldn't exactly be very smart, I wouldn't know what I was doing. So I really identified with Orbison, with trying to find a family in as many places as she could, and then being angry that she had to do that.
Hmm. Yeah, there's that line. I'm not gonna remember the line perfectly at the end there where you tell Cleo, played by Chloe Guidry,
Mm-hmm.
that I've done. You don't want to be with me. I've done bad things I won't even tell others that I've done.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was very kind of heartbreaking, and I think one of the scenes that you could connect with, because I think everyone has done things in their life that they're
Yes.
not proud of, right? So that's a
Yes.
very relatable statement. Um, and when you're bouncing around, as you say, as you're wayward, as you're trying to find your way as a young actor, I don't think that's explored a lot.
No.
And I mean, because everyone wants to present everything's okay, everything's great,
Oh,
and I look at the great films I've made, look at the great TV shows I've been on.
yes.
I'm doing good, and I'm successful, and you are. All those things are true, but
Mm-hmm.
there's got to be that side of that you just
There's a
brought up,
hell of a lot of sacrifice. Yeah, a big
that
amount.
doubt, and that like, am I doing the right thing? Am I
Mm-hmm.
going to make it? And that's got to be really scary as a someone out on their own for the first time.
Oh my gosh, very scary. I still feel terrified. I look back, I can't even believe I made it through my 20s. you know,
Uh-huh.
I was
So
just,
how do you do it? Like how do
um,
you what do you tell
I'm
yourself? How do you
lucky.
keep yourself going?
Well, I mean, I think I'm really getting to grips with that now because I was lucky with one job that took me out to Los Angeles, and then I was working for people who became my family. And then one woman in particular, I mean, truly kind of an angel. She she sort of let me stay with her in her house, and I we got along, and still love them, and I lived with them during the bloody strike, and I had to sublet my apartment,
Mm,
all those
wow.
things. And they gave me a foundation that I think is why I'm able to be on the other side of it, because I always had like a family to go to. And I I honestly had to find a healthy dose of faith, whatever that faith may be, faith in yourself, faith in something bigger than you, faith in just humanity. You just have to try and find that. And the benefit with having parents that I'm now realizing are quite hippie types
Hmm.
is they're always proud of me. They're super
Yeah.
proud of me. And they are just happy that I can be out here and do it. And I don't have the certain things that some of my other friends have, which is, am I making my parents proud? They don't understand this lifestyle I'm leading. It pretty much was set for me like, this, we are not traditional. And okay, you're going out then you're making money for yourself at 16, and then that's it. Then you go off and you do that. So I think I'm still sort of gathering that that is, one, very proud of myself, but also very traumatic too. I know everybody
Hmm.
brings that up these days, but it is, because you do sometimes miss having a home base or being a baby bird, and I didn't really get that. So I occasionally do mourn it, and I then have to just say, all right, I'll keep on going. And you have to do things like you have to get other jobs, like you have to bartend, you have to do this, that, in the midst of, then you get a gig. But people don't know that after you get the gig, they want you to do publicity or all these sorts of things, but that costs so much money. Like, it's a
Yeah.
financial thing, which is why sometimes at your as a peer, as your peers in acting, sometimes you have to stay in your own lane, because I would find myself getting jealous of those who had either just a normal family background or a family name that could help them. Anything, I would get a little bit jealous of it, but I realized we all end up having to do our own stuff anyway. I just had to do mine a bit earlier.
Hmm.
So,
Well, and it maybe not now, maybe not today, but at one point or many points, I'm sure through your life, what your hardships, your struggles, and your personal sacrifice for your journey will come back to you,
mhm,
and you'll reflect and realize it all happened the way it should to get you
yes,
where you're at now. Those struggles are when you're in the middle of them, it just feels like there's no way out, right?
yeah.
But you just keep putting one foot in front of the other, and,
Mhm.
and you're a perfect example of that. Now, there are probably many actors out there jealous of you and your success and what you're doing that are trying. And so I think you have a great message for everyone to just keep
Yeah,
keep
keep
moving.
going.
Now, do
I
you
would
ever get
like to do that.
home? You what?
I try. It's very expensive. I just got back. I So when I go back, I'll try and I'm now trying to go for longer stints. I recently lost it's hard being away, because I recently lost my uncle, and I was just so separate from that whole
Mhm.
thing, and he was living with my dad and all that stuff. So when I went back, I went for a long time, like about a month. So I missed the fires. Um, and I
The Los Angeles
Yeah,
fires?
I missed all of that because I was at home. So I just recently got back. Essentially, it feels like that to me anyway. And that was nice. But and before that, I went back the year before. But prior to that, I hadn't been home. Prior to 2020, I guess, three, I hadn't been home for like 2 years. It was going on two. I want to say 3 years. Yeah.
So when you go home,
Um,
when you went home, what is the thing that makes you feel like the baby bird again? And the like what do you have to do? Is it, you know,
well, my dad
snuggling up
is
on the couch with you watching a movie with your
yes.
parents, or is it having
My
some
dad
tea
is
with your
really
mom?
sweet. He's like he's very adorable to me. So he always wants to make it's always toast and tea. So his
Toast
toast
and
he
tea.
always makes me toast and a cup of tea. And
And
we
that's home.
that is home, toast and tea, and like and the way the kitchen is set up now, that's where the telly is. So we'll just like stand there and just watch TV and hang out, cup of tea. We have a nice long garden. It's the house that my Oma had, and my dad now lives in it. She passed away in 2019, but it was my Oma, my dad, and my uncle were all living together. So whenever I would come back, I was really, submerged with my family. So now it's kind of interesting because people are departing, as I like to
Mm.
say, and I have to I go in and just honestly look at all of their stuff. That's what I did this last time, and that made me feel like I was at home. And where I am I'm from a village called Loughor in Wales, just outside of Swansea. So I'm right by the estuary, the Loughor estuary. So I honestly go for a walk all around there, and that instantly brings me back because it's so beautiful and the air is so pure, and it's just it. I just remember being a kid doing cross country around there, or I can walk past my primary school, so
Mm.
I realized when I went back on this trip that what you essentially your question, like things that were bringing me back home, because prior to that I felt so restless. I was angry when I came back home because I felt I had to do so much in my other life, so to speak. But this time things slowed down for me, and I was just happy to be back.
Mm. I like that. That's very a lot of imagery there. I can
Mm-hmm.
see you. I almost feel like I'm walking there watching you do all that.
Oh,
Was
it's so
there
lovely.
I like the idea of just looking at their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's true, right? When you go back to your childhood home and or you go back to your parent with your parents, you haven't seen them in a long time, and that feeling of like everything, things that you thought were strange on the shelf,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
it just feels, wow, this is what, it just feels,
truly.
brings it all back for you.
It's always the things that you thought were strange, when you're little, or the object that you had to pick up the most.
What was that object when you came home?
My so my Oma always had this wooden I don't know, I think she had it since she was a kid, but this wooden duck, and it rolled. It was like a toy, and then you can unlatch it, and the body slides not horizontally like across, and there's like
I've seen
the
those.
thinnest, yeah, you know what I mean, like the
Yeah,
thinnest
what are they
little dip.
for?
I don't know what that's for, but I used to pick it up all the time and play with it. And I saw it because it's sort of changed in the house now, because we had to like make space for other people living in there, and it's a very small space. So things like rooms have been segmented off, like the living room has changed and stuff. So I just like had to pick that up because I saw it was moved. All of my uncle's paintings, his guitars,
Mm.
usually when he was alive, those were his. I used to just see those things by him all the time. And so it's strange crossing over, being able to like hold that thing
Did you
where it
learn
was
how to
like,
play guitar with your uncle or from your uncle?
no, I learned well, he was definitely an inspiration. My dad always wanted me to play the guitar, and my uncle was fantastic at it. Um, but when I was little and he would come back from London occasionally, he would always want me to play something with him. And I was very shy. I was very, very shy growing up. I think that's something I've started reflecting on a lot more, like painfully so. So it was, I'm now happy that I had those moments where he was showing me, scales, like blues scale. He loved the blues. He's always writing riffs.
Mm.
So and he was very good at just teaching himself everything. So every time I saw him, he was like, you could teach yourself this, learn this. um,
Self-taught.
yeah. And now I'm getting better at taking that on. My God, it's not bad. And it took me going
Well,
back home to remember that.
yeah. Um, Home is important. And home is it measures you. It's like milestones in your life, right? You always go home and then you reflect on where you've been. and you can almost see the next step that you need to take. Home kind of resets you.
Very much so.
So you mentioned it's a small house, a small kitchen,
Yes.
the
Your
television's in
mind
the
is row
kitchen.
home.
Does it, is there a particular, I don't, this is sort of a weird question, but just to get the full picture, because I'm really in there in your home and looking around with you. And uh, is there a smell like, do you guys cook something like that's a home meal that you have to have? Is there like something that is like, that's my meal when I go home? That reminds me of home. And does the kitchen smell of good food and
Well, my
good aromas?
my Oma slash Nan, she's German, uh, born and raised, and she's just a staunch German lady. So I was always used to her making something. And she was a cook on a ship with her husband, my grandfather. So she was always cooking and every single German thing you could imagine, sauerkraut. And it's so funny. She cooked in such a funny way. Like occasionally, I think I saw an Instagram reel of it. Like, why do people in Germany eat like this? Just like bits and bobs, like just like she'd like make. Also, she cooked very World War II, is how I like to say. Like, um, like boiled beets and then like something
Hmm.
else and then maybe a dish, or she'd try and like stretch one dish and make it into a soup. So I was and I, but I she was a very good cook, and she was awesome at making this apple cake. I don't know what it's called, but it was so lovely.
That sounds
With that
good.
like cinnamony smell.
Yeah.
Then when she
Smell
got
of baking pie.
yeah, when she got older though, that's I have a distinct memory of she made this one cake and it was just full of lemon seeds. I was like, okay, then now
Full
you
of
have to
lemon
retire
seeds.
from cooking. I was like, no, you have to retire from cooking.
Did you say
Like,
seeds like the like
yes,
you're
she just
spitting the
had
seed out?
lemon seeds in it, and I was like, oh, girl.
Uh, Now
Um,
I've cooked and I've done that too. I forget to put
it was
that
riddled
paper
with
over
them.
it. So it
Like
was
that
better.
stuff, like that happened. Um,
Uh,
what I'm trying to think of some, my dad doesn't cook. He does not. He is not. He is always working he works at a school in Ammanford, and he's just always going to school and working. And he does not. He gets home and he says, "I'm too tired. I don't want to do it." So he just doesn't cook. So I honestly have to go there and fill the house up myself.
do you cook for him?
Yeah, and when we went, me and my boyfriend went. My boyfriend made a delicious like like roast and all that sort of. Yeah, he's very like he's like, no, we're gonna make you something. We're gonna force you, Stephen, to eat. You know what I mean?
Oh, I bet he didn't want to see you guys go.
No, he didn't. I know he didn't. He really
Yeah, for many reasons.
he needed that boost of
Hmm.
love. I know it's been hard. So, but I'm trying to encourage him to cook a little bit more.
Would they ever
He
move
used to
over?
make borscht. Sorry, that's what I remember. My father used to make a really good borscht, and that was delicious.
Mm,
I
I
liked it.
bet that is.
Mhm.
Sounds good.
It's
It's
so good.
You're in LA right now, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So Santa Barbara, LA, we've got this kind of colder, like what I don't know about LA, but I imagine it's the same. Usually is like kind of a chill in the air, like
Uh-huh.
a
Uh-huh.
cold spring with the sea air kind of
I love
blowing
that.
over. Yeah, and that meal sounds perfect right now. That
Oh
sounds like,
my gosh.
doesn't
You
it?
should make it. You should
I
make
might have to.
it's a meditative process to make. It really is.
I love to cook, so I'll look up
Oh
and
my
I did
God, I'm so
make about.
excited for
Do you
you.
have a family recipe?
I think I do actually somewhere. I can try and find it for you. Because my
If
dad writes
you
everything
send
down.
it, I'll make it.
Okay, but it's it's there's also a really good one. I'm gonna try and find it for you. Um,
Okay.
but
I
it's really
appreciate that. Well,
it's
we
so
should take a
satisfying.
Jessica, this is fun. Well, we should take a real quick break here and then come right back. But I want to talk about Wayward. Let me just tell you before we go to the break,
Mhm.
tell the listener here the storyline for Wayward. Here it is.
Okay.
While moving from Idaho to Los Angeles with her mother, an 11-year-old girl yearning for stability becomes smitten with a charismatic female hitchhiker. That's Orbison. that's Jessica, that they pick up along the way. As she detaches more and more from her mother, the girl forms an unlikely bond with the hitchhiker, blurring the line between running away and kidnapping. Sometimes getting lost is the only way out. And as I've said a few times on a few shows now, Wayward is my favorite scripted movie of 2025, and I highly recommend that you check it out and you see it. It's streaming on Apple TV, Amazon, and Google Plus right now. There's a couple quotes. The New York City movie guru says of Wayward, well acted and refreshingly unpredictable. Scenes in Color says Wayward is a riveting film rooted in a mother's love, and the New York Sun says a remarkable performance by Chloe Guidry. The You mentioned the Wayward Award nominated for the 2023. Is it pronounced Deauville?
Deauville, I think so.
Deauville Film
Yeah.
Festival. Grand Special Prize. Jacqueline Froelich, writer and director. We'll be right back with more from Jessica Sula. And you can follow her on Instagram at Jessie Sula, Jessie Sula. We'll be right back.